Stage 5 of Module 1. Anger. How could you do this to me? You will feel powerful rage when your relationship ends. Feeling anger is a natural, healthy part of being human. However, anger is different from aggression, which is a destructive form of expressing anger. It's not healthy to keep your anger locked up inside of you, and nor is it to express it aggressively. You can learn to express both your anger over the ending of your relationship along with everyday anger constructively. In one of the groups, Jean said, "I don't know what came over me. I saw his car in the parking bay, and I knew he had met his girlfriend and left her in the car. I went over and let the air out of all 4 tires. Then I went behind a building and waited until they returned, so I could watch them find his car with the tires flat. I watched them trying to solve their problem, and I felt so good. I've never done anything like that before in my life. Guess I didn't know how angry I could get." We are approaching a point where we can become consumed with anger, and if we don't deal with it adequately, it can stop us in our tracks instead of us progressing through the rebuilding process. Relationship anger is extreme rage, vindictiveness, and bitterness, which at times seems almost overpowering. It is a special kind of anger that we really do not experience before, and many of our friends who are still in relationships do not understand it either, unless they've gone through the breakdown and end of a relationship themselves. You may try to keep this anger inside and not express it, and this can result in what we term reactive depression, because one cause of such intense sadness is anger not being expressed. Let's go back to the dumper who does not express it because he or she feels guilty, and then the dumpee fears the other person will not come back, so both are nice for a while, except that they feel a lot of intensely sad thoughts and feelings. Anger is expressed in violent ways many times. Many people, given the opportunity whilst they are most angry, will commit an act of violence. It is crucial at such times to be able to restrain ourselves and find more suitable methods of expressing these feelings of rage and vindictiveness. We can find more constructive uses of anger than destroying ourselves with depression and psychosomatic problems such as headaches, body tension, ulcers, and the like. Also, since the fires of anger can spread to the other rebuilding stages which we will be exploring, if we can work our way through this block, we will have much less trouble handling the other all-important parts on our rebuilding journey. This rebuilding block has 3 phases. 1. The first, learning to accept that it is okay and part of being human to feel angry. There are many myths in our society that say to be angry is to be weak, childish, or destructive. In essence, we are told that it is not permissible to be angry. Now we have to relearn that it is natural, and whilst this might be easy to do intellectually, it's more difficult to embrace emotionally. Remember, there's a difference between that feeling of anger and the way we act to express it. The second phase is when we embrace that we are human and naturally feel anger. Now we need to see positive ways of expressing that anger which are not destructive to ourselves or those around us. We can do it with humour and physical exercise. One of the most destructive ways is where people use children as a vehicle for expressing anger at their former partner. Some make children into spies when they return home from visits. Some people restrict their former partner access to the children. The third stage is of forgiveness, and this is not just about forgiving the other person, but also learning to forgive yourself, for we're also angry with ourselves. You are responsible for this anger, because it is your feeling, not someone else's, and whilst projecting blame for anger onto someone else may be part of the process, the part that allows us to get out the anger that has been causing our depression or intense sadness is when we get further along the journey. And so we must learn to take responsibility for that anger within us. Essentially, it is much easier to blame someone else But this stage of forgiveness is actually learning to forgive ourselves for the choices we have made, or the actions we have taken, and thereby enabling ourselves to let go of that anger. At this point, I would like to discuss with you positive ways to express anger, ways that will not be harmful to you or to others. Let me emphasize that important difference between the special relationship that you had ending and the anger you feel, and your anger in connection to other life situations. First, I will present some ways to express your anger wherever it occurs in your relationships. Relationship ending anger needs to be vented and released in a non-destructive way. Anger in future relationships, with friends, family, partners and children, needs to be expressed directly, firmly, honestly, but in a constructive way to encourage communication and a deeper relationship. Let's focus for a short while on our temptation and desire to take out anger or partner directly. We want to call them up and hurt them, get back at them, be vindictive, and express our anger directly to them. I do not believe this is helpful in most cases. When you throw a few logs on the relationship-ending anger fire, your ex may throw a few logs back in retaliation. Pretty soon, the fire is consuming both of you. Therefore, I suggest that you express your anger in other ways, such as those that are suggested later on, rather than taking it out on your former partner. Humour is a very effective way of getting rid of anger. Harriet was the comedian of one of the seminar groups I ran. She would come to the group and say, "I don't know what to tell people when they ask me where my former partner is. I don't want to tell them that he's off with another woman, so I finally decided the next time a person asks me, I'll tell them that he's croaked." She laughs, and the whole class laughs, and everyone has vented angry feelings through laughter. One of the most effective ways of expressing anger is to call a friend and say, "I need to talk to you about this anger that I'm feeling. I know I may not make sense at times. I know that I may become very emotional. And I know that some of the things that I am going to say will not be really what I'm feeling at this time. But right now I'm feeling really angry, and I need you to listen to me talk about my anger." Many people are able to use fantasies to help to get rid of it. Sandy was an expert on this. She would fantasize the following incident. I would go to the garden store and buy a sack of hot lawn fertilizer. Then, in the middle of the night, I would go over to my ex's house and write obscene four-letter words with the fertilizer in front of his house. Then he would read them every time he had to mow his front lawn, all summer long. We have to remember that these are fantasies, and that we should not act them out.